straight down the throat of first slip. Stokes goes. Oh, knocks him over with a beauty.
Oh, he's out. Whoa, he's out.
Out, Charlie. Yes.
All right, good morning, everyone. We're here at my favourite space to spend quality time in on a Thursday morning. No better time to spend it with Mitch Johnson, mate. Thanks for taking the time to come and meet with us this morning. Second conversation, I'd like to say, in the eye and theme of talking about just men's health, how we go, what we do, how we transition, and how we live our lives day to day, how we handle work, family, health, body, the whole bit. As a brief intro, I've gotten to know Mitch personally because of a long-standing family relationship over many years between his wife, now Jess, and his parents-in-law, Nevis and Brank. The fearsome figure that otherwise used to come into the pharmacy and or cafe now very regularly, now turns out to be a big softie. So it's nice to know that we can actually engage in such a good conversation, and I'm privileged to have you here, mate, and thanks for your time. Essentially, the first question I had was what I want to know personally, but I'm sure everyone else wants to know about how someone that's held in such an esteemed way in the public eye then manages, from my opinion, to look and feel like he's transitioning seamlessly into the public, where I see you on a daily, if not 2 or 3 times a day basis, caffeinating yourself, which is great, for us to see you. But how does that transition go? Like, how have you felt that's gone, and a life which otherwise was spent with sports psychs and dietitians and training and daily regimens and routines? How do you transition out of something that's so highly structured into everyday life? And how does that go?
I mean, it's a really good question. It's a question that it's always on your mind when you're transitioning. I think I stopped playing in 2018 for the Perth Scorchers was my last game, and I still feel like I'm transitioning now. Like it's one of those things that I'm not sure it ends so quickly. You're always trying to find something that works for you. And I know I spoke to Michael Hussey about this like many years ago when I was thinking about retirement from cricket and what I was going to do after that. I got caught up with him and just sort of had that discussion. And he was about 5-6 years out of the game, and he still felt like he hadn't found exactly what he wanted to do. But what he did say was that he was trying to get things in his life that he enjoyed and things that worked for him and his family. And I think now, I've spoken to him in more recent times, he's definitely more structured. He's got that routine again. That's probably one of the big things is routine and that structure. So for him, he actually likes to travel probably once a year. He'll go over to the IPL, do a bit of coaching there, and then he'll do a bit of the summer stuff here with the commentary, and he'll pick up little bits and pieces along the way. And I guess that's what I'm sort of looking to do myself, and trying to fit into my family lifestyle. It's definitely not easy. When you do travel a lot, you've got everything handed to you. On a tour, you would basically have your daily script in front of you of what you had to do. It was training in the morning, or you had a meeting in the afternoon. So it was all structured, ready to go for you. You didn't really have to think. So now it might seem simple.
And is it a relief to not have that disciplined amount of regimented structure? And or do you still have something like that kind of structure in place now? And surely that must be important. And you mentioned cricket and full-time cricket and retirement from cricket. From me, from the outside looking in, I'd never want to see you retire from cricket.
Yeah.
I always want to see you involved in the game. And I think that feels as though it'll be a part of your life forever.
Yeah.
And like you said with Mike Hussey, for example, it'll be snippets of bits that will last forever, and it's just a matter of how you intertwine that into your family and life in general. But it seems like you're doing a fairly good job of it at the minute.
Oh, I mean, on the outside it does. Like, there's definitely days where it doesn't feel quite right, and you struggle with it. But because for us as cricketers, we never, most of us have never had a trade. We basically played since we left high school, and that's our trade. So you try to stick to doing some coaching or some commentary because that's what you know best. So it can be a little bit tricky if you're trying to go outside the square a little bit, or outside the box, should I say. So yeah, the routine stuff at first, I quite enjoyed not having that at the very first time I finished playing cricket, and it was just relaxing and just having that time with my family. So that was really important. But as it's sort of gone on, structure and routine is essential. If you don't have that, then I think it's really hard to get through a day, because we are trying to find our purpose.
Of course,
right? And
I think that's important.
you have to have a purpose in life, and I think structure definitely helps that. If you can plan your day and have those little wins throughout the day, whatever it may be. But yeah, everyone's different. Like I said, Mike Hussey wanted to go on that path of coaching overseas a little bit more and doing the commentary back home, where I'm looking into a bit of the coaching stuff now. I've done some commentary stuff. I know what I like in the commentary. I like doing the radio stuff a lot more. So that's sort of, finding that right balance for me and my family is key.
Would you say that you've got a face for radio?
Sure, if you say so. That's very harsh.
Mate, not my objective, but look, you mentioned a lot about cricket, and does it necessarily mean that someone who's played cricket for their entire life must now look as part of their transition to just be involved in and around cricket, or is there something else? Or is it just a matter of now you're just almost like starting life again and finding out what that purpose in life is, so that you can then have different goals? Goals before would have been aiming towards an Ashes series or aiming towards being at your peak of your powers so that you can be, bouncing someone out. But now, surely there's got to be different goals in place, firstly for your family, but also for you as well, because someone that would be so highly motivated and driven to be so successful. I know myself, I have business goals, I have family goals, I have other things. Are there some things that you've got set up that you're looking to drive towards?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right in all that stuff that you're saying. And the thing is, being a professional athlete, you're quite selfish. So it's actually quite hard to go then into that family life, that transition, and then find other things. But yeah, I'm definitely doing other things at the moment in business, whether we're looking at opening a cafe, and then all the COVID stuff hit.
Oh, so that's why you come all the time to ours.
Yes.
All right. So you're pinching.
I was trying to get some ideas,
Yeah.
Poach a few of your staff, but no, it's property stuff. We're doing some property stuff as well, and bits and pieces. But I think it's like I said again, it's just trying to find a purpose and something that works for me and my family. So. It's like I said, it's a bit of a process, and not every day is a good day. Just like everyone out there, you're not going to have, amazing days all the time. And it was like cricket. I mean, my goal in cricket was to be consistent. And when I say consistent, it was to bring my good days and bad days closer together. So I didn't have those really, really bad days and really, really good days. It was more condensed, and I could just be
a consistent
good player. You're going to have those little troughs here and there, but try to make them closer together. And I think that's the same as life. You try and have that consistency with what you're doing, and that's where structure, routine, and all that is really key. But yeah, like I said, it's been a bit of an up and down sort of road. It hasn't been easy at times. Like I've found out about myself a lot. Like I've ADHD and suffered some depression as well. So, which I think can be quite a common theme in sportsmen.
Mate, and thanks for sharing that, mate, because otherwise people publicly wouldn't necessarily know that. I guess you're a sportsman, so you're under the public eye all the time, so you're under a lot of pressure, so it makes some sense. Yet to be able to share that and comfortably talk about that is something, it's exactly what we're sitting here for. And encouraging guys especially who are really, really poor at outwardly communicating how they feel, because now I think that gives us the perfect opportunity. You and I both now with 2 kids, gives us an opportunity to teach our kids that it's okay to feel and okay to feel not so great every day,
Yeah.
but be able to share with them how those
Yeah.
feelings go, but also share with other guys to let them know that, you know, sometimes it's okay to have a chat about things and let
It
people
is.
know how you're feeling.
Well, I got a perfect example of all that. Towards the back end of my playing career for Australia, I remember sitting, I think we were in India actually, and a few of the guys were sitting around playing PlayStation or whatever it was, and I remember just feeling pretty down and not great, and I just wondered, surely I'm not the only one that feels like this. You know, we're all away from home, we're missing our family, I can't even remember what was the score in the series, but I just know that I was feeling pretty average, and I just started talking to a few of the younger guys, and it just sort of opened them up as well, and we started to talk, and it was all similar sort of stuff. So
And surely that made you guys feel better.
it did,
knowing that
definitely.
you were sharing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Communication. It's a hard thing as a guy. We don't like to communicate that well, and especially on a topic like mental health, it's quite difficult. But that's the thing. I think you can see someone from the outside and they're perceived a certain way, and they might look like, for me, for instance, like I've always had this. There's been this perception of this tough fast bowler. Like I had the big mo, and you sort of just, you know, you got the big stare and you're into the game, but that's not me off the field. So yeah, I think once we can get past all that and start to communicate, talk to each other, and I think that just makes things easier because we're all going through similar sort of things. I think that's the key for us is communication, and just trying to think positively.
I tend to agree. I mean, I obviously didn't play cricket for Australia, but at times, you know, looked at for someone that is going to be seeked out for advice and anything that may need attention. And I found that for me at home, very poorly was I communicating with my wife at times about how I was feeling, and, you know, how was your day? Oh, that was great. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Helped all these people, but deep down inside, you know, there was that hurt, and you were you were tired, and you didn't want to share, and you didn't want to let that person close to you know that you weren't feeling great.
Yeah.
But now it's really comfortable to know that you can actually share those feelings, and I think for me, COVID really did allow for us to spend so much time and to know that, you know, when you had an uncertain feeling about a disease that you didn't really know too much about and when it was going to hit. It's funny that when it comes to a time of life or death, and people, when they're on their deathbed, they talk about the things that they would talk about to their loved ones. It shouldn't be at that time. It should be right now. And if there's something that's bothering you right now, you should feel comfortable. That's why we get married, and that's why we have parents and people around us. So it's good to know that someone like yourself, like we've said many times, that's held in such high esteem and regard, is comfortable to share, and it's happy to share those experiences with just anyone that's going to walk along and be needing someone to talk to.
Look, the other thing is, it's not just, I haven't communicated just with my family. Like I have got professional help as well, which I felt at first a bit, it was quite a hard thing to do, but it's been something that has really helped a lot, because I've been able to, first you have to find someone you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
And if you're not comfortable with that person, keep looking. But I was able to find someone I could talk to and
trust
and just speak openly and honestly about everything. So that's definitely helped me along the way.
So it's important to know that there are professional people that you can talk to, not just your pharmacist, or not just Mitch, or not just your wife, if needed. And there's resources online which we're going to keep sharing, and that's the reason why we're doing this. Mate, leading into, I think it's important to know, with regard to your life and your setup, what kind of now strategies do you have in place to give yourself time to quieten your mind, to give yourself time to spend time on you? Because to be the best version of you, I think, will then stem then onto your family and friends and your kids especially. So what kind of things, you know, is it a strict exercise, a diet, is it meditation, do you limit screen time, do you worry about social media trolls, what do you do?
I basically make sure I exercise. That's the biggest thing for me. And even Jess has said that to me at times, where she felt like I was starting to just sort of bubble up a little bit and get a bit anxious on the inside, and she could sense it, and she'd go, just go to the gym. And I'd go to the gym and feel good again. So it's as simple as that for me, I guess. if I can have that consistency of going to the gym or doing something that I enjoy. I do a little bit of jiu-jitsu as well, which I quite enjoy. It's just something that can take your mind away from everything.
And is there any reason why you can't have that level of consistency every day? Do you think I think for me, I know that kind of structure and discipline is important, that I'm doing something like that every day. From your perspective, do you think that that's important, that that we do engage in that sort of physical activity or something that drives you every day?
Well, whatever drives you, whatever it may be. It might be going playing darts or something, I don't know. But it's something like you have to make the time. I think, we do have busy lifestyles. A lot of people struggle with time, but it's just making that time somehow, I think, because you just get stuck in that rut otherwise.
Well, I think from what you said, Jess encouraging you to go to the gym, I get the same encouragement now to go and play soccer or to go and do something physical, because I know that outwardly releases a lot of inbuilt frustration. And so being able to identify that you actually physically need that as a release is really important. Because that then ultimately leads to better mental health, better sleep conditions, better sleep hygiene, and just life in general seems to be better.
And the other thing is the discipline. You sort of mentioned maybe diet as well. I think that's a bit of a key thing as well. It's just having a bit of discipline about what you eat and what you drink and things like that is quite important. I think I've found at times where I can get. I'm not a big drinker of alcohol, but when I do, I can overdo it, and doesn't sit that well with me. So I know that, and I know that I have to pull my head in if I'm overdoing it. So it's just a bit of discipline as well. It doesn't have to be, like you're an elite athlete or anything like that, but it's just having that discipline of maybe thinking about what you're putting into your mouth on a daily basis.
Well, from a health perspective, I know that that's vitally important, and at times in my life, I know that I have pushed the envelope a bit too much, having two now kids and a wife that rely on me, and employees that also rely on me, being as good a version of myself as possible. But we learn from past experiences.
Well, we're all human. We make mistakes, and as long as you can realize those things and try and get better at it, then that's the main thing. We're gonna make plenty of mistakes along the way, and I know as a professional cricketer, I made plenty of those mistakes along the way, but I was able to get better from them. That's just human nature.
But you learn from them. You use them to your to make you a better version, because if we don't have experiences in our life which teach us something, then we're not actually going to grow as a person. So I think those kind of things are vitally important. From a health perspective, I'm trying to initiate good conversation, but I'm also trying to instill into people that getting regular health checks, going to a doctor. Now, I guess we're both of an age where, prostate's relevant, heart's relevant, all sorts of men's related checks are relevant. Do you go and see a doctor regularly?
This is where I need to get better. And this is where cricket was actually really good, because we'd always get health checks, whether it was like skin checks for skin cancers, that would always be yearly. Just being able to have a doctor to see at will. But now it's up to me, and I can be pretty lazy with that. So I do need to get better with that kind of stuff. There's not much more I can say on that.
Mate, agree. I think
but it's a common thing, and I think we can all be better.
I know firsthand, and I've seen it way too many times, even with some really close friends, that we just as men wait for something to go wrong, as opposed to prevention better than cure. It's an age-old cliche saying, but it's so very relevant and very true that if we are not, there's no point in us giving ourselves good nutrition and training and eating well and drinking well and having good mental health if we aren't physically knowing. Sometimes you just never know. We can be ticking time bombs without physically knowing. So I think it's vitally important that we do get ourselves checked out. So knowing that Mitch Johnson doesn't go to the doctor as regularly as he should do, I think that that's a lesson for all of us to know that those kind of things should be put in place fairly regularly. And there are tools, and if people need to talk to someone like me, I can guide you in the right direction. One of the final questions I've got for you, mate, and essentially what I personally want to know, and maybe what the public would like to know is exactly what's Mitch working on now and where's he headed from here?
I sort of had this plan in my head that I'm trying to spend as much time with the kids at this age that they're at now. They're 7 and 4, and I think for the next few years I want to be able to be around as much as possible. I feel that's really important for me, and that's part of the reason why I stopped playing cricket as well, because I probably could have played for another couple of years, like physically, but mentally I'd stopped because I wanted to be with my family more. So that's where I see myself right now, and in the future, like once they're a little bit older,
They won't want to talk to you anyway.
they won't want to talk to me anyway. So then I'll be able to travel a bit more and do some more coaching stuff. I mean, I do have my own coaching app, which I'd like to keep improving and get it bigger and bigger and bigger. But and then I want to get hands-on with that as well. So eventually travel around the country, over to India, and sort of go from there. So I do have like a long-term
passion, and you do have some visualization about what you want to achieve.
Yeah, I mean it's there, and I think it's important to have those goals laid out as well. So it's definitely there. It's not something that I'm interested in being full-time at now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to set myself up
Which you should
in
be
a
proud
good
of.
way. Yeah, in a good way. So then I can have this time with my kids, but also if I do need to go and do something, I can still go and do it. But it is getting harder and harder to actually travel away from the family because I am spending so much quality time with them now. But there will come that time where I do look to become a bit more full-time and the coaching side of things, and we'll be prepared to spend more time away from home. It's all about finding what works for your family, what balance works for you. I don't think there's a perfect balance, but there's something there that you can work with and all be happy.
I think that kind of ties up everything that we've just discussed really well. I think it irrelevant that Mitch was a cricketer, Steve's a pharmacist, my brother's a plumber, the next guy does whatever he does. We all do the best that we can do.
Yep.
And I think the desire now from a health professional is to make sure that men in general are given the tools they need and are given the freedom to talk and the ability to engage in good conversations, because without that you won't have the best ability to be the best father, the best husband, the best employer or employee. So with good health, good mental health and good structures and processes in place, it gives you the best platform to be the best version of you.
Yeah, I actually just remembered something that I used to get it a fair bit, was that people would often say, I want to say often, I don't think it was that many really, but you get comments like, what do you have mental health for? What are you worried about? You've got
everything.
You've got everything. You play for your country. You earn this amount of money. Blah blah blah. But we've all got the same issues. There's always something there. It's a perception thing again.
It's exactly
and
the point.
I got caught up in it a fair bit, throughout my career until sort of the back end, where I was just, I'm just going to play the game, enjoy myself. All the other stuff doesn't mean anything, and just get on with it. It's just those little comments here and there. You were talking about social media earlier with your questioning, and I didn't really touch on it, but I definitely had an issue with that early days because I would read into it too much and start to believe it. And I think social media can be quite dangerous in that way. But now I've learned to just shrug it off. But that's been over time. That's something that I've had to teach myself and to get better at, and probably just limit my time on social media. I'm not a big fan of it still, but I see the purpose of it. We have to find ways to get better at dealing with it and teaching our kids coming up now how to deal with it, because they don't get a break. They're at school all day and then they come home and they're on social media. They're not getting a break away from that constant
from the screen.
badgering.
I agree. So look, perfect way to end. I think screen time, social media, those kind of things are always going to be, my perception of that is that it's going to be potentially negative in a lot of cases, but also very much positive. Our businesses.
Well, we only see the negative.
Yeah.
A lot of people scroll through comments and they see the negative answers or
We're
negative
we're designed
comments. Yeah, and it's just how we are, and we have to stop that. We have to not. You just don't believe it. It's nonsense anyway. So we have to find a way to teach our kids, I think, how to deal with those issues.
I think we just have to manage how much screen time we give them, but how much screen time we give ourselves as well, because that can also lead to a negative state of mind.
Yep.
So I think there's lots of different factors here that we've touched on, and I
Yeah,
really appreciate.
we could talk for hours, really, on all this stuff, because there's so much going on. But yeah,
I agree.
I've enjoyed the chat.
I enjoy the chat with you every day, and I was a little bit nervous about having you in a room just one-on-one, but it's nice and refreshing to know that what we see is what we get.
Yeah,
right?
For me, I've always said it. I say it to people when they meet me, they always say oh, you're not that same person that's out in the field. I was like, well, no, I just want to be a normal person like everyone else, and I am a normal person. Yeah. So I just was fortunate enough to play for my country, and yeah.
And we were fortunate enough to get to watch you, right? And so we're really grateful for the time that you give us, and I think this gives the community a chance to have an insight as to, like you said, whether or not you're an elite sportsman, you're just a humble husband and father. We're all playing an active role in the community and doing the best we can, and it's just a matter of how we look after ourselves and how honestly and open we are in our conversations with our family, with our friends, and with our colleagues. And so that's how we move forward, mate. Yep. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, Mitch. Yeah. Thanks, mate.
That's full, it's nicked. Wow, that's Mitchell Johnson getting a wicket at the other end.
Oh, that's full. They want LBW and they've got it. That is absolutely hitting them all. Mitch Johnson.
Very full. Then there's a take. Oh, that's edged. Johnson's drawn the shot.